What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Knicks Latest, your go-to YouTube channel for everything New York Knicks related. We are coming up on the preseason. Knicks basketball is just a few days away, so make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like, make sure you comment. I do use your comments for content, as you will see later on in this episode. I have two comments I want to get to because it is a slow news day, and when that happens, love to talk to you, love to talk to the subscribers. We're trying to build a community here of Knicks fans, objective Knicks fans, fans who are rooting for the team, who have been rooting for the team, and who are excited for this new golden age of New York Knicks basketball. This is the first time since the Ewing era that the Knicks can actually win the NBA Finals. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. It has been a long ride for those of us who've watched those 90s Knicks teams, and now here we go into the 2025-2026 season with a legitimate chance at winning the NBA Finals. We want as many Knicks fans as possible subscribe to the channel, so make sure you do that. All right, let's get into it. Like I said, not a lot of news today. Slow news day. Knicks starting to practice. You know, we can go back and forth about who's going to start, who's not going to start, but that would just be a redundant conversation that we're having over and over again, and there's no reason to have it unless something new comes up. I want to talk about Malcolm Brogdon for a little bit, and he finally talked to the media, finally got to hear from Malcolm himself about his process of joining the Knicks, and it just seems like it's something he wanted to do in the sense of he wanted to be in New York. He could have went anywhere else, but he was looking specifically at the New York Knicks. Apparently, he and the Knicks were talking for a while, negotiating, and he had his heart set on a team that he thought can win the NBA championship. He looks at himself, quote-unquote, as a Swiss Army knife, somebody who can handle the ball. He saw that the Knicks needed more players like him who can be versatile, handling the ball, playing defense, and particularly at that guard position, and he's not wrong. You know, a lot of Knicks fans are already penciling him for that last minimum contract spot. Others are saying it's going to be him and Landry. Somehow Kolek's going to be moved. Maybe Dadier is going to be moved. But it seems like it's a foregone conclusion that Malcolm Brogdon's going to be on the New York Knicks this year. And I think the Knicks are going to be happy to have him if he stays healthy. And that's the key caveat here, if he stays healthy. Malcolm has been a former Rookie of the Year, former Sixth Man of the Year. He's somebody who can do everything on the basketball court, but he's got to stay healthy. And I don't know if I would say the Knicks would be taking a big risk here by signing him. At the end of the day, you're signing him to a vet minimum. At the end of the day, he's probably your 9th, 10th man, but he is going to be an essential piece because he will end up being your backup point guard and ball handler. If Jalen Brunson needs to rest for a day or two, or let's just say he's banged up for a game or two, Malcolm's probably going to be the guy who gets the start. Malcolm's going to be the guy who gets the minutes. He's going to be the one bringing up the ball. Just in general, if we need a ball handler at any point in the game and Jalen's not available or they're doubled, just anything, I can see Mike Brown going to Malcolm Brogdon and using him as a ball handler and somebody to facilitate the offense and calm the offense down. You know, that's one thing I think the Knicks were missing last year, in particular against the Indiana Pacers. You know, they got into sets where they might get the ball up across half court frantically, and then they're trying to handle the ball up to Jalen Brunson. And by the time they do that, Jalen Brunson gets the ball at half court, and it's like 11 seconds left on the shot clock, and now you got to run some offense. You know, if you have someone like a Malcolm Brogdon, he can come in, he can handle the rock, he can get you settled. I also like the fact that Mike Brown's saying that he's comfortable with Jalen Brunson off the ball now. We're going to see more sets with Jalen Brunson off the ball, so there's not this need to have Jalen at the top of the key running everything. I'm excited to see what this looks like. The more that I hear about Malcolm Brogdon in camp, the more that I hear about the signing process, and the more you think about what the Knicks need, the more it makes sense that he's going to be on this roster to start the 2025-2026 season and probably be in the rotation as well. Shams reported that on NBA Today. He said that Malcolm Brogdon is not only going to be on the Knicks, but he's probably going to play a key part in the rotation, and it just makes sense. I think for the price that they're getting him at, it's a steal, and hopefully he can stay healthy. That's really what it is with Malcolm. He's just got to stay healthy. So it's good to hear that he wanted to be in New York. It's nice to hear that NBA players are looking at the Knicks as a team that can win the championship, and they're finally going over to the Knicks. It's a weird thing as a Knicks fans to have former NBA players wanting to play for the New York Knicks, and that this organization is not looked at as the dumpster fire it used to be. It's a whole new day. I'm not used to it yet. I don't know if I'll ever be used to it, but I'm happy. I'm happy that that's what this is. All right, like I said, slow news day, so want to talk to you about your thoughts going into the season. Let's go into this comment right here. It's from D Breezy. He says, doesn't Shamet make Deuce expendable? I like to keep Deuce, but he would be a good piece to dangle for a trade for a backup big. We need another big along with Huck to strengthen the bench. I don't know if I would say Shamet makes Deuce expendable. I do think they're two different type of players in this sense where Shamet can guard bigger players. Shamet, to me, is more, I'm going to chill in the corner, where Deuce is more perimeter-oriented, might handle the ball a little bit more than Shamet does. I think Deuce, he's a good point of attack defender, but he's not as big a role as Shamet. Both catch and shoot threes. I personally would rather have Deuce. I think Deuce is the better, more consistent player at this time. He's the more explosive player. I trust him to get a shot off more than Shamet if I had the ball in his hands, even though I don't expect Deuce to go one-on-one all the time. I don't know if that makes Deuce expendable, though. I get what you're saying. I think Malcolm might make Deuce expendable. I think when it comes down to it, you can make Deuce expendable and trade him and then have a Malcolm Brogdon and a Jordan Clarkson backcourt from the bench. So to me, it's not so much Shamet. I think it's more of Malcolm. Because Shamet, to me, could be the three, right? You could have Deuce, Clarkson, and Shamet. You might be a little small, but that makes sense. It's more Malcolm. And, with Deuce's contract coming up, the Knicks got him for a bargain. They signed him before he even entered the rotation. It says as if they knew this was coming. So smart move there by Leon Rose and company. But he's going to want more money. We don't know how much longer he's going to be around. We don't know how much Leon Rose and company value him. He is an integral part to the team, but he is also somebody to bring off the bench. He's also somebody limited in what he can do. He shoots threes. He can guard the perimeter. He's 3-and-D essentially. A very unique one because he is smaller and he's really athletic. But you can find those players across the league. I don't know what his future on the Knicks looks like, but I do think when the trade deadline comes and the Knicks might need somebody, Deuce might be dangled out there. We had a lot of talk about Mitchell Robinson possibly being that piece, because of his contract extension and whatnot, but it seems like Mike Brown and the Knicks organization really value what he brings defensively at the center position. The Knicks don't have anybody like a Mitchell Robinson. They don't have somebody who can protect the paint the way Mitchell Robinson can and at the same time be able to guard the perimeter on the pick and roll. Mitchell Robinson covers up a lot defensively when it comes to that starting five. Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson have been known to be pretty weak defenders. Teams pick on them all the time. You're going to need Mitchell Robinson on the back end there covering the mess up, or when they try to switch, or if there's a drop coverage in the perimeter, you're going to need Mitchell Robinson there, possibly guarding two people at once in a drop coverage. He is very valuable to what the Knicks want to do defensively. I understand he's not there offensively yet. Mike Brown has made comments that Mitchell Robinson might get 3 lobs just by being tall in this offense, which would be nice to see. But it's looking more and more like that when the trade deadline comes, if there is a piece to be dangled, I actually think it might be Deuce McBride. Now, again, we have to see how this roster shapes up. There's one spot right now. It looks like they're going to give it to Malcolm Brogdon, but it also looks like they want to keep Landry Shamet around as well. So would not be surprised if there's a trade there. But to D Breezy's point, I think overall we're making the same point here, right? The point is Deuce is probably expendable here. Now, if it's because of Landry and Malcolm, it doesn't matter. The fact is that I do think going forward he is expendable, and we'll see how that plays out. Love Deuce. Hope he sticks around. Mike Brown did say he wants to play about 10 people, in his rotation. He wants a bigger rotation, so it is possible that, Deuce, Malcolm, and Landry somehow find their way in the rotation. We'll see how that works, but I don't know what that's going to look like, especially if Josh Hart moves to the bench now. He's going to be playing the 3. There's a lot of pieces there. It's a good problem to have. You have players who do deserve playing time, but it's a good problem to have. Interested to see how Mike Brown handles it. All right, last comment comes from Willie. Willie says, I would trade Josh Hart for Dyson Daniels of the Hawks. He led the league in steals last year, and he can shoot the 3. Having him next to OG will lock down I think he meant SGA from OKC. That's what will it take to win a championship. Listen, Dyson Daniels would be fantastic on the Knicks. I don't think the Hawks make that deal. I think the Hawks know what they have in Dyson Daniels. It was a brilliant move by then GM Landry Fields, former New York Knick. The Hawks are building their own thing right now. They're kind of doing what the Knicks did before the Karl-Anthony trade, which is surround Trae Young with people who can play defense to kind of cover up what he can't do defensively, and Dyson Daniels is one of, if not the best perimeter defender in the league. You just don't give that up. Josh Hart is a Swiss Army knife. I think I like Josh on the offensive side of the ball better than Dyson Daniels, but I don't think the Atlanta Hawks would be willing to give up someone like a Dyson Daniels to get someone like a Josh Hart. At best, it's a lateral move, and I don't think teams are looking to move laterally, especially at this point when you're trying to build up to be a contender. It doesn't really make sense for either side. Well, more for the Hawks. I think the Knicks, if given the opportunity, would pull that trigger because of Dyson Daniels' defensive prowess and what he can bring to the table. I think it might be worth it. But if you're the Hawks, at best, it's a lateral move. Yes, you have Josh Hart, who can play defense, but he can do more things on the fast break than Dyson Daniels. Maybe a better offensive player, maybe not as better of a shooter, but someone who's more versatile on the offensive end. I get where your mind's going here, but I think the Knicks are happy with Josh, and I don't think they're going to trade him for someone who can't do the intangibles as well as him. There are only a few players who can do that. Maybe Dyson's one of them. Maybe not. I don't know. For me, it's more of a no from the Hawks than it is from the Knicks. If it were to happen for the Knicks, I'd be like, okay, I can see. Let's rock. But I don't think Hawks fans would be too happy about that deal. I think the Hawks fans love Dyson Daniels. I think the Hawks know what they have in Dyson Daniels. You could sell me on that from the Knicks standpoint. You know, I mentioned Josh's intangibles. Dyson probably will bring them over as well. But I don't know if Hawks fans would be willing to give up a defensive player of the year candidate when Trae Young is their point guard trying to guard everybody in the pick and roll, everybody one-on-one. It just would not make sense. I think it'd be counterproductive for the Hawks. But I like where your head's at. You know, if I'm going to trade Josh, it would be somebody like that, right? To me, Josh is a very valuable player on this team. He's somebody who you just cannot trade. You're going to have to find someone who does multiple things to replace him. My only beef with Dyson Daniels is offensively, he kind of, But you can say the same thing about Josh, right? You know, Josh sometimes on the offensive end drives us crazy as well. So I just don't think that's the type of trade that would happen or that would go down if there was one for Josh Hart. I think it'd be more for like a 3-and-D player. Can't think of one off the top of my head, but there's a bunch of them in the league. But someone who can shoot the three, space the floor, and also defend, right? Because what you're missing from Josh is his ability to spread the floor and defenses to respect him. And I think if you're getting rid of Josh, you're going to want that in return. A high-level 3-and-D, not just any other 3-and-D. It would have to be a high-level 3-and-D. All right, well, listen, that's going to do it for today's show of Knicks Latest. Stay tuned all week for the latest updates. Preseason starts soon. Cannot wait for that, to see the New York Knicks in action, even though, you know, our starters won't be out there long. It's going to be excited to see them. Make sure you drop a comment. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. Like I said, we are trying to get a huge fan base of New York Knicks fans who want to talk New York Knicks objectively going into the most anticipated season in about, 25 years. So stay tuned. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.